Jesus said, before you look at the evil out there in the secular humanist, you'd better take a good look at the evil that is within your own lives. And I think it's time for the evangelical community to begin to say, what's wrong with us? Let's take a look at our own morality. Let's read through the Sermon on the Mount. That's a fair question. Let's look at what the red letters of Jesus are really all about in Scripture and ask, are our values in harmony with the red letters of the Scripture where Jesus speaks? Are we the meek? Are we the poor? As it says in Luke 6, are we the people who are merciful? Are we the peacemakers? Are we the ones who are willing to stand up with oppressed people even when they say all manner of evil against us? Are we living in accord with the teachings of Jesus? And after we have answered that question in a positive manner, then perhaps we can look at the secular humanist out there that we think is the enemy. The enemy is within us, and we need to deal with that enemy before we start looking for the enemy out there in the larger world.
Why is it so hard for the church, let's say the church, to be self-aware and self-critical? I mean, from the Roman Catholic Church on up, I mean, it was in the year 2000 that John Paul II gave that beautiful Jubilee speech where he begged for forgiveness for, you know, the Inquisitions and for the Crusades and for abetting the Nazis. It took 2,000 years before, and everyone else knew. George Carlin knew. I mean, lots of people have been having great fun at their expense. Why are we so poor at that?
We're poor at it. But I got to say this, we're better than any other religion on the face of the earth. I mean, if you want self-correction, you're more likely to find it in the Christian community than you are in the Islamic community. You're more likely to find it in the Christian community than any other community on the face of the earth. The fortunate thing about evangelical Christianity is they may scream and yell at people like me, but they are still willing to keep us within the community. They are still willing to say, there are some evangelicals who hold views that we really have to seriously question. I like that because they still acknowledge that I'm an evangelical. I think that, in fact, we have to remember that while the church can be called upon to buttress the status quo and resist change, the church is also the instrument that has brought about every positive change that you can think of. Would there have been a civil rights movement without the church, without Martin Luther King? Would there have been an end to apartheid in South Africa without a Bishop Tutu and the church there? Who is it that championed women's rights? It wasn't a bunch of secular feminists. The first meetings of the Niagara Conference for women were held in churches in northern New York. That the great revivals of the 1800s were what gave birth to the feminist movement. You know, everybody criticizes us for being people who retard progress, and I argue just the opposite. There wouldn't be much progress in our society if it wasn't for the church taking the lead. Yes, we have people in the church that are reactionaries, but we have people in the church who speak the gospel in the fullest sense of liberating the oppressed, and these are the ones who in the long term of history have won out in the life of the church.